Church of the Great Valley, I'm so glad I was invited to come over and talk with the class on environmental studies here, because in terms of our concern to save Valley Creek, Church of the Great Valley is located in a key location. Let me tell you why. First of all, Church Road runs right across Valley Creek, and we are doing a restoration project there, redoing one that was started and completed 20 years ago. And Valley Creek itself is being torn to pieces by the floods coming off of the paved watershed. And every year, of course, the way people make money is to want to more intensively fill in as many spaces as they can with human-like projects, like apartment houses or roads or roofs or whatever. And of course, since we're having bigger and bigger rains that hold in place, we're getting bigger floods all of the time. So one thing that's really important is Church Road and Valley Creek right here near the church. The second thing is that the church is adjacent to a very important preservation area. No matter what happens in the future, it's very important that we preserve as much as we can of the natural order intact, because our children and the world itself needs intact genetic pools. No matter what is destroyed, we need some to survive. And right here, Mitzi Toland, many years ago, was able to start the Nature Conservancy, the Open Lands Conservancy, which is a delight. If you look at pictures of the Great Valley in the 1930s, it was like an open ditch. There were no trees. So we've made a big step forward. But a conservancy needs attention and help. It needs financial support. It needs people to get out and cut the invasives and raise the money to put in more native plants and trees and protect them from the deer. There's a lot that needs to be done. Preservation is very important. It's right next door. One of the biggest things that's right next door is the Atwater Quarry, which the priest at Church of the at the church many years ago was very concerned, because they were down to sea level blasting, and every blast shook the church and all the ground around it. But now the quarry is filled in with water, and over a 10-year period, we were able, through Trout Unlimited and two very active people, to negotiate. They're putting in a siphon, and so the siphon goes down into the cold water in the quarry, and it comes into Cedar Hollow Run, which of course is close to the church. And that little run was measured by the Pennsylvania Fish Commission a few years ago for its trout population. And they were astounded. That little piece of water from where it starts and where it runs into Valley Creek had over 400 wild brown trout of every size. And that needs continual attention. A couple of years ago, the siphon blocked up with high water and with trees and all kinds of stuff in it. And of course, having the quarry is a constant temptation for road builders or apartment builders to dump all their stormwater into the quarry rather than infiltrating it. And somebody needs to be active and give us support. I think the other thing in caring for God's creation, that we need to start soon, as soon as we see. We can't wait for a crisis to occur. Jacques Ellul, the Calvinist theologian in France, once said that if the French churches had united, Catholic and Protestant, and developed a constructive policy in Vietnam in the 1930s, what happened after the war, first in France and then in the United States with the Vietnam Wars, would never have occurred. And the same thing is true of the environment. We can see the destruction that's going on all around us, but to sit in front of our television, to take it easy, doesn't do any good. And it's the same thing if we get to be like the folks where I live here. We're in our youngest, our 70s. I'm 85, but you never ever, as long as you're here, the Lord has a place for us, a job for us to do. If we can't get out of bed, we can still pray. We can still inform ourselves. We can still learn. And we can encourage our children and grandchildren to get involved. And if we're fortunate enough to have some financial resources, we can contribute. All of these things, we can get however old we're going to be, and our life still makes a difference. Here, we have 350 acres of natural lands. We have a very active conservancy in both of our communities, and we're working to deal with all of the invasives that are overwhelming plants, insects, and the natural lands. If you cut a forest in northeast Pennsylvania now, my forester friends say, you can't count on it regrowing anymore. The deer eat all the little shoots, and then if anything, everything else is covered with invasives. It keeps anything from growing. So it requires human care in a new way. And we're struggling with that here. But you have your own concerns. And you need to look around you, see what's going on, and remember that God created Eve and Adam, in the Hebrew word is Adama, to care for the earth and sustain it and to make it work. And when we are restored, we receive the sevenfold gifts of the Spirit that the Lord pours out on us as we move toward life. So we learn some things. We get some understanding. We know some things. And then, of course, we also realize the more we learn, the less we know, just like Socrates said. But that's all right. That, as the prophet says, do justice, love mercy, walk humbly with your God. And it's the humility, I think, that carries us forward. How's that?
Thank you.